Hello, I shared something on my Instagram yesterday about having 47 tabs open in my head and the mental load that brings. And from all of the messages that I received, it certainly feels like it's resonated with people. And so I wanted to do a video to talk about it in a bit more detail rather than just be a quote in a caption like it was yesterday in my post and stories. I constantly have a phrase in my head that my husband says all the time, which is I'm in my something box. I don't know if you have the similar, but for me, when I'm in that box, it's because I'm mulling over this mental to-do list that I don't think ever gets below 20, 25 items. And if I was to write them all down, it would probably be over 100 items. And for many of us, and particularly women and particularly mums, I believe, maybe because we're naturally better at it, I don't know the psychology behind it, or whether culturally the expectation has been placed on women's and mums' shoulders. And I think we're in a slightly different time and a different generation now. That load can feel very heavy. I had great fun when I was writing the content for the post around the things that I was thinking about at that particular time, what was on my to-do list and the mental load that I was carrying. And there's some great examples, and it's all the things that I've got a very good husband. He is fantastic, but he's still a man. And I mean that in the nicest possible way. I think women are better at it, rightly or wrongly. And he always says to me, just write me a list. To which my brain thinks, who the heck is writing this list for me? So it's those kind of things that just end up being on our radar. So the list I shared in the post were things like, I don't know, ordering the school dinners for the children for the next week, next fortnight, next term. If they're off sick, knowing to cancel them, whether they're going to like it or not, or whether they've changed the chicken curry and suddenly one of your children doesn't like it anymore, what we're going to give them at dinner time that means it's different to what they had at lunchtime. Remembering, therefore, if it's packed lunch, those kind of things, or just your household tasks. Like, for instance, at the moment, something as simple, we need bigger bins. We've got an extra child. We need a bigger bin. But oh my goodness, has that been difficult to get from the council? You need multiple bits of ID. So you start and then you stop and then you start and you stop and you carry on. Or we're moving over from BT to other providers for internet and phone. So boring, so life admin, but it's on the list. And last week, BT brought me to an emotional breakdown. Not because of anything particularly special about BT, but because some awful customer service was all it took to push me over the edge, because my load was just too big at that particular point in time, and it was creating more things to go on my to-do list, and I just could not take any more things on my to-do list. I am a mum of 4. I've got 2 businesses. I'm doing this, whatever this is, we will find out as we go onwards. So I'm busy, and people say they don't know how I do what I do, but I just think I'm completely ordinary and normal. And the last slide cracks me up. I love the phrase that I ended up coming up with. That sounded really big-headed, I didn't mean it to. I love the phrase I ended up coming up with, which was for the mums that have the capability and can do everything, but should we? Should we really be doing everything and testing this capacity and capability of ours? So that's really why the Motherboard HQ came to exist, is not to mum shame, not to mum guilt, not to do toxic positivity or to put additional pressure on any of our shoulders, but just to acknowledge that for whatever reason, and I am intrigued by the psychology of this, and maybe I'll have to do some research, whatever the reason, more often than not, but not always, and this isn't about man slating or man shaming or dad shaming or husband shaming, but for whatever reason, the load does tend to fall on our shoulders. And that can be okay, that can be normal, but perhaps we need to feel that we're not alone in that. And maybe we need to feel that there are strategies and conversations and communication to be had. And an example straight off from this morning, or no, over the weekend, as an example of what I'm doing actively to change my behaviour, small ways every single day, to reduce the load, is because I am my own worst enemy. I make my list very long. I love adding things to it. I love being busy. I love being productive. And then I love moaning about Tom sometimes about all the things that he didn't do. But he's also not a mind reader. So unless I raise it and explain it, he's not going to know. So there's a brilliant example the other day. We were doing the classic Mentos and Diet Coke experiment in the garden for one of the kids' homeworks. It ended up being recorded on Tom's phone. So he then forwarded it on to me, and that was his job done. So that became my mental load. I now need to do the editing. I now need to make them the right size that you can share with the homework app, or I need to make sure that it's shared via email with the school. So effectively, if we're in a business transaction, he's kind of escalated and passed over to somebody else, which isn't very efficient. So I am kind of treating some of these things a bit like I'm at work, and that isn't efficient. Cut out the middleman. It's on your phone. You send it to school, and it's only through me changing my behaviour and my language that is going to affect change. And I think we can probably all learn a little bit from that, that maybe if we treat ourselves kinder, think about our communication a little bit differently, think about how we communicate with ourselves and how we communicate with others, there is definitely a way of looking at this mental load differently. Or the fact, if we acknowledge it and share it and talk about it, or if you listen to me and find you resonate and have similarities, then it's always nice to know that we're not alone. Lovely to chat to you. There's plenty more to come. I'm intending to share more videos, so feel free to subscribe if you want to keep up with those. Of course, there'll be things on Instagram stories as well. You'll see little hints of my life as well as a mum of 4 and 2 business owner. Welcome to the Motherboard HQ.